Ahoy! The next SMITE patch is finally around the corner, and with that HiRez has started teasing some stuff for the upcoming patch. In this video we'll not only talk about the next god and a little bit of their abilities, but also another upcoming skin. Yesterday and today, the SMITE Game Twitter account has posted two different clips with captions. The first quote is, "The rolling thunder shakes the ground, mesmerizing all, the lightning twice found." Under this we can see an arrow that is stuck in the ground with some kind of smoke around them and some weaves coming out from it. In the background we have like the sun lighting up the area, and through that light we can also see a ton of other arrows stuck in the ground around it. So at first glance we can definitely see something AoE related here. It also comes with some neat battle music. The second clip's caption is, "Unwavering hands take their form. Which shot will she choose? A strike, spread, or storm?" The animation along with that are three different effects showing different arrows spreading out, the lightning strike, and then I guess some kind of crashing effect into the ground, and in between these sequences is a little bit of smoke separating them from each other. Well, the post itself obviously indicates that they're somehow connected. The music that plays in the background is also a different one. Now, fortunately at this point we can take a little bit of a shortcut. And that's because SMITE Datamining has already found out at least a little bit about this god, and we can use that information to figure out more here. The first thing that we already know is who this god is supposed to be, and that's Ishtar. Deity 122 is confirmed as Ishtar in the files, so she will be a Mesopotamian goddess, or rather, like Gilgamesh, likely classified as a Babylonian goddess. We'll get to a little bit more about her background a little bit later. For now, let's focus on the abilities. So the first thing that is noted here is that she has some form of steel radius, but it's not confirmed to be part of her kit, so we can't really do much with that information. But with everything else that comes afterwards, we can most certainly do a lot. Because one of the things that is noted here is that she has some variations of her basic attack. She has a device that turns the basic attack into an area version and deals bonus damage. The area might also be a cone attack of some form, and the device also gives increased scaling and range, but decreases the attack speed in return. Furthermore, she has a device that increases movement speed and attack speed in group. And now think back to the second tweet. Which shot will she choose from? A strike, spread, or storm? This is very likely a strong hint towards exactly these different forms of basic attacks. The spread is the AoE, could be a cone, could be something else, but at least some form of AoE for her basic attack. Then the strike would be more single target and maybe get some of the other benefits, like maybe the reduced attack speed but higher damage. That sounds like a strike to me. And then the storm could either refer to some form of increased attack speed while using the ability, or this could be the increased movement speed and attack speed in group, so the storm is basically speeding up her allies and herself, or something along those lines. Either way, it very much sounds like there will be three different forms of her basic attacks, and maybe not even all of them will be using the arrows. If we are going by the visual hints, then the strike is more of a lightning strike, or something that strikes into the ground at least, and not necessarily an arrow. And maybe we would really see like fundamentally different basic attacks depending on which of the stances we are using. Now, keep in mind though that these effects could also be parts of different abilities. They don't necessarily have to be part of one ability and just being a swap between them, but rather it could also be that when you're using different abilities in your kit, your basic attack changes afterwards, or even more extreme, your abilities are literally just changing your basic attack. That would be very extreme and unusual, but also possible. So yeah, it could be a direct stance swap, it could be a Bellona type basic attack change, or it could be something completely unique that we haven't seen yet. But beyond that, we also know more about the other hint. Another data mined piece of information is that she has a device that can stun, cripple, mesmerize, and root enemies in a group or in an area. Massive amounts of CC I'm assuming you're not getting all of them at once, but rather either they tried different variations during testing to see what's most balanced, or depending on what additional benefits you currently have active, you may get one or the other CC. Think, for example, Cupid, who gets CC under certain circumstances. This effect as a whole we can very clearly link to the rolling thunder that shakes the ground because it mesmerizes all. The fact that it says the lightning twice found makes me think that this strikes multiple times. I don't know if it will mess on each of the strikes, but it seems to be a large AoE that comes with a mess, and to me personally, with the amount of CC that was listed on it, sounds like an ultimate, but then it would also be very, very similar to Cupid's ult, so I'm sure it'll set itself apart in one way or another. The last bit of data mining is that she has a deployable, but that doesn't tell us anything. Before we get to the other teaser, I wanted to give you a quick overview of Ishtar's background, her connection to Gilgamesh, just so we understand what kind of character we can expect. She is the goddess of love, war, and fertility, but also is connected to various other things like beauty, justice, political power, and things that I cannot say on YouTube without getting demonetized. So she really covers a lot of different areas, so to speak, and that means she also can be represented in quite a few different ways, I would say, when it comes to her design in Smite. What we can see in multiple depictions is her holding a bow, which obviously makes her a perfect fit for a hunter and also makes sense with multiple of her abilities that we know so far having arrows displayed, so she will definitely be a huntress with a bow and arrow. Another bit of trivia about her is that she either gave rise to, or at least heavily influenced, the idea of the Greek goddess Aphrodite. So we'll see if we see some references to that in voice lines in-game. Ishtar, for example, like Aphrodite, also has an association with doves, though from what I found, Ishtar is generally depicted a lot more war-focused as a warrior than Aphrodite was in some of the later depictions. Ishtar also had a massive crush on Gilgamesh and just straight up wanted to marry him, but when she asked him, he refused. Apparently, he was quite concerned with how she had treated her exes. Unfortunately, Ishtar handles the rejection about as well as a modern-day TikTok pickup artist. This ultimately results in Gilgamesh's friend Enkidu getting killed, and also Gilgamesh starting his journey on his failed quest for immortality. Since overall Ishtar appears in more myth than any other Sumerian deity, it's going to be very hard to pinpoint what exactly we can expect from her because there are so many different aspects of her that could be used for a kit, so we'll just have to wait and see. What we don't have to wait for is a teaser for another skin that HiRez posted on their YouTube, and this is for an upcoming Batz skin. If you have been following Blackeye on Twitter, then you probably know what the skin is about. This is going to be Bun Hatz, Batz with a baguette and as a chef. Blackeye has been on a very long campaign to get the skin into the game, so I'm very happy that it made it in. What to me personally is also especially cool is that this is already the second community-made Batz skin, the previous one being made by Rage and Cajun in collaboration with yours truly. And I'm also very happy that Batz is getting another skin, as always. I just love Batz and I love Batz skins. I already talked about this on Twitter, but I am somewhat concerned that people will take this as motivation, inspiration to also spam their requests a lot in order to get them done. Where you have to understand that Blackeye did much more than that. He did like videos about it, there was fan art and whatnot, so there was a lot of ideas, creativity going into this campaign rather than just spamming every day and that's it. And I think that is something that's very important to keep in mind. If you want something to happen in Smite that you think is very cool, then you have to get people hyped for it in different ways. And in order to do that, be creative. Don't just spam revert God X or rework God X over and over. That's probably not going to have as much impact, in my personal opinion at least. It's just going to be very frustrating for the employees to deal with. But hopefully I'm preaching to the choir here at this point. Most of you are usually pretty smart about this type of stuff. The full 9.8 update show will be happening on August 17th. And before that, there will also be a closer look at Ishtar, I'm sure. So if you want to stay updated for any other news that we get before the patch notes or the patch notes themselves, then please consider subscribing and clicking the bell if you haven't yet, so you get notified of those videos. With that, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one soon. SLOTH, out.
If I didn't have this special hat, how else would you know I'm a chef?